You think you're being yourself. You're not. You're performing the version that gets rewarded. And by the end of today, you won't be able to tell the difference. In 1959, Irving Goffman argued that all of social life is a performance, not metaphorically, literally. He called the self we show others the front stage, and the self that exists when no one is watching, the backstage. The insight that mattered wasn't the performance, it was the gap between them. That gap was where the rest of you lived. You performed at work, at dinner parties, in job interviews. And then you went home. The audience left. The backstage returned. Social media didn't just give you a bigger audience, it eliminated the backstage. You are now performing for your colleagues, your family, your oldest friends, and strangers you will never meet simultaneously. All day, every day. The question is no longer whether you're performing. It's what happens to the rest of you when the performance never stops. Here's what the research shows. When the performance is rewarded by attention, by approval, by the specific electric feeling of being understood, your brain encodes the lesson. Do that again. Be that version. It works. This is not manipulation. This is learning. The same mechanism that taught your ancestors which berries were safe is now teaching you which version of yourself gets results. In 2013, researchers studying online identity found something that should have alarmed us more than it did. People online were not constructing false identities. They were selectively amplifying real ones. They took genuine aspects of themselves, enhanced some, suppressed others, consistently over time in response to feedback. They were not lying, they were editing. And the edit, done every day for years, starts to feel like the original. Now add context collapse. Before social media, you performed differently for different audiences. Your boss, your parents, your oldest friends, the people you hadn't met yet. Each relationship had its own performance. Social media collapsed that. Now you perform for all of them simultaneously. And when every audience is watching at once, you don't perform more authentically. You perform to the most demanding standard in the room. You optimize, you narrow, you become the version of yourself that offends no one, loses no one, and costs nothing to understand. A Yale neuroscientist named Molly Crockett identified the mechanism precisely. When self-expression moves online, it becomes more readily available, requires less effort, and is reinforced on a schedule that maximizes the likelihood of future expression. She was writing about outrage. The mechanism is the same for every performance. The platform doesn't just host your identity, it trains it. You've done this today. You've already done this.
You already know this. You felt it. That moment when you say something and realize you said it because it would land, not because it was true.
Here's what the research doesn't fully capture. The feedback loop doesn't stop when the platform closes. Studies tracking online performance and offline identity development found direct causal links. The performance begins to inform the performer. Not slowly, not metaphorically, measurably. The self you show in public reorganizes the self you carry in private. Not just the behavior, the instincts, the emotional reflexes, the way you begin to evaluate your own experience, whether it's postable, legible, rewarded. Maya is home. No one is watching. And yet, she finds herself composing a caption for a moment she is living. Not to post it, just composing it. Researchers have a name for what she's experiencing. They call it impression management. What they don't have a name for is what happens when the management goes internal. When the audience you've been performing for, your colleagues, your followers, everyone who has ever rewarded a version of you, moves inside, the phantom audience, the invisible crowd that never leaves.
Ask yourself honestly, when did you last say something you hadn't already decided would land well?
This is not an argument for authenticity. There is no version of you that exists outside performance. Goffman was right about that. What we are arguing is simpler, that the range matters, that the distance between your most performed self and your least performed self, that gap, is where the rest of you lives. And reward systems narrow the gap, not by eliminating the quiet self, by making it feel less efficient, less useful, less translatable. Until one day you reach for it the way you reach for a word you once knew in a language you no longer speak.
Tomorrow morning, before you reach for the phone, notice who you are in that silence. What happens when the version of you that gets rewarded becomes the only one left?